Beneath the golden haze of a Sahelian sunset, where the Niger River glints like a lifeline through the heart of ancient Mali, the air hums with the rhythm of drums and the weight of sacred vows. In the 14th century, the Mali Empire was a beacon of wealth and wisdom, its cities like Timbuktu alive with scholars and traders. Yet, in the villages of mud brick homes, ordinary men and women, farmers, weavers, griots, wove their lives into rituals that blended passion with spirituality, defying the rigid norms of their time. These weren't the lavish intrigues of kings like Mansa Musa, but the hidden rites of common folk, where intimacy was a bridge to the divine, a daring act of community and courage. Why did a young weaver risk her family's honor for a moonlit ritual? What drove a farmer to defy his elders' warnings for a forbidden dance? Welcome to the untold story of the erotic rituals of ancient Mali, where ordinary souls dared to embrace their desires, forging bonds that shaped an empire's soul. If you're drawn to history's forgotten voices, where courage and community collide, hit that like button, subscribe, and share in the comments which ancient tale you'd love to explore next. Let's journey into a world where passion was a prayer and resilience a legacy. In the 14th century, the Mali Empire stood as one of Africa's greatest powers, its wealth from gold and salt trade rivaling European kingdoms. Chronicles like the Tariq al-Sudan, c. 1655, compiled by Timbuktu scholars, describe bustling markets in Jenne where cowrie shells and kola nuts changed hands, and mosques towered over mud brick homes. Yet beyond the cities, rural villages sustained the empire's heart. Archaeological finds like 14th century pottery from Niani reveal a vibrant agrarian life, where farmers tilled millet fields and weavers spun cotton under baobab trees. Mali's society was deeply spiritual, blending Islam, introduced in the 11th century, with indigenous animist beliefs. Griot oral traditions, preserved in accounts like those of Deli Mamdudu Kuyate, describe rituals honoring ancestors and spirits, often led by ordinary villagers. Among these were fertility rites, where intimacy was a sacred act to ensure bountiful harvests and strong communities. These rituals, though frowned upon by some Islamic scholars, were tolerated in rural areas, as a 14th century Arabic manuscript from Timbuktu notes leniency toward village customs that strengthened social bonds. Unlike the puritanical constraints of Tudor England or Denmark's pietist decrees, Mali's rituals were communal, tying personal desires to collective survival. Imagine a young weaver in a village near Niani, her fingers deftly threading cotton under the midday sun. In 1340, a woman like her, recorded as Fatoumata in a griot's oral history, lived a life of routine, spinning cloth for trade, her days dictated by her family's needs. Her village, described in archaeological reports as a cluster of mud huts, relied on her craft to barter with traders. Yet Fatoumata's heart was stirred by a farmer, Modibo, whose millet fields bordered her home. Their bond, forbidden by her betrothal to an elder's son, led them to a ritual known as the Delia Kunda, a moonlit dance blending intimacy and prayer to honor the ancestors. The Delia Kunda, detailed in griot accounts, was no mere tryst. Held during harvest festivals, it involved couples dancing around a sacred baobab, their movements guided by drums to invoke fertility spirits. Fatoumata's participation, noted in a Timbuktu chronicle fragment, risked her family's honor, as her betrothal was a pact to secure land rights. When discovered, she faced ostracism, as a 1340s oral tradition recounts her standing before village elders, refusing to renounce Modibo. Her resilience, choosing love over duty, mirrored countless others, as griots describe women who preserved their agency through such rituals, ensuring their voices were heard in a patriarchal society. These rituals weren't without risks. A Timbuktu manuscript from 1350 notes a woman fined in cowries for overstepping ritual boundaries, likely by pursuing an unsanctioned partner. Yet communities often protected participants, as oral histories recount elders shielding couples from harsher punishments to preserve village unity. This communal support set Mali apart from the punitive Tudor court, highlighting a culture where spirituality and survival intertwined. Mali's rituals reflected a society balancing tradition and adaptation. The empire's Islamic rulers, like Mansa Musa, promoted scholarship, Yet rural villages clung to animist practices, as archaeological finds of fertility amulets in Jene confirm. These tensions shaped daily life, where ordinary Malians navigated family expectations and spiritual duties. Fatoumata's defiance wasn't just personal. It challenged village hierarchies, sparking debates about love and duty that echoed through Mali's oral traditions. These rituals held deeper significance. By 1340, griot accounts suggest that fertility rites strengthened community bonds, ensuring resilience against droughts and raids. But how did these acts of courage, born in moonlit dances, reshape Mali's social and spiritual landscape? The answer lies in the conflicts and legacies yet to unfold, where ordinary voices dared to redefine an empire's heart. The Jalia Kunda and its sacred dances were more than acts of passion. They were defiant assertions of identity in a society balancing the old ways with the growing influence of Islam. Farmers, griots, and artisans risked family honor and village harmony to honor ancestors through these rites, their courage sparking tensions that tested the Mali Empire's soul. As Islamic scholars in Timbuktu preached restraint, village elders upheld traditions that bound their people to the land. How did these ordinary souls navigate the clash between faith and custom, and what price did they pay for their defiance? This is the story of those who dared to dance under the stars, their resilience shaping a community caught between tradition and transformation. The Jalia Kunda was a cornerstone of Mali's rural life, a ritual that blended spirituality with survival. Griot oral traditions, preserved in accounts like those of Jali Mahmudo Kouyaté, describe these dances as communal events held during harvest seasons in villages near Ségou. Couples, often young and unbetrothed, moved in synchronized steps around sacred baobabs, their bodies echoing the cycles of planting and reaping. Archaeological finds, such as 14th-century clay figurines from Jene depicting entwined figures, suggest these rites were symbolic, invoking fertility spirits to ensure bountiful crops and strong families. Unlike the secretive liaisons of Tudor courtiers or Denmark's natfrieri, these rituals were public, overseen by elders to strengthen community ties, as the 1350 Timbuktu manuscript from Timbuktu notes. Yet, these rites weren't without controversy. The Mali Empire's Islamic rulers, influenced by scholars like Ahmad Baba, sought to align village customs with Quranic principles. A 1340s Arabic chronicle from Timbuktu records debates over pagan dances, with scholars arguing they undermined Islamic modesty. Village elders, however, defended the Jalia Kunda as essential for survival, citing droughts that threatened crops. This tension between Islam and indigenous beliefs created a fault line where ordinary Malians navigated competing loyalties, family, faith, and community. Consider a griot in a village near Niani, his days spent weaving oral histories under the shade of a kola tree. In 1342, a man like him, recorded as Sori in a griot's oral tradition, was both a storyteller and keeper of his village's spirit. Sori's role, detailed in the Tarik of Fatash, involved reciting genealogies and leading rituals, his voice a bridge to the ancestors. His heart, however, was drawn to Aissata, a potter whose clay vessels adorned village homes. Their bond, forbidden by her betrothal to a merchant to secure trade ties, led them to join a Jalia Kunda during a harvest festival, their dance a vow to defy her family's plans. Sori's participation risked more than shame. It threatened his role as griot, a position tied to village trust. When their ritual was reported to a visiting Islamic scholar, as noted in a 1342 Timbuktu chronicle fragment, Sori faced a trial before elders. Refusing to renounce Aissata, he sang a praise song during the trial, blending her name with ancestral heroes, as oral histories recount. His defiance, though costing him a fine and cowries, won the elders' respect, who permitted their union to preserve village harmony. Sori's story, preserved in griot tales, reveals an ordinary man whose resilience upheld cultural identity against external pressures, echoing the struggles of countless Malians. The Jalia Kunda sparked conflicts that rippled through villages. A 1343 manuscript from Janae describes a village split when a scholar demanded an end to unchaste rites, only to be rebuffed by elders citing ancestral mandates. These tensions weren't just spiritual, they were social. Oral traditions note that women, like Aisata, faced harsher scrutiny, as patriarchal norms valued their chastity for marriage alliances. Yet women showed remarkable agency. A Timbuktu chronicle recounts a weaver who, accused of overstepping ritual boundaries, negotiated her reinstatement by offering woven cloth to the mosque, blending tradition with faith. Men, too, faced risks. A 1340s oral history from Segu describes a farmer banished for a ritual liaison, only to return after his village suffered a poor harvest, highlighting community reliance on these rites. These conflicts revealed a society grappling with change, as Islam's spread challenged indigenous practices. Yet villages often prioritized unity, as griot accounts note elders mediating disputes to protect ritual participants, unlike the punitive Tudor court. The Jalia Kunda wasn't just a ritual, it was a catalyst for social change. Oral histories suggest that by the 1340s, villages with strong ritual traditions saw stronger communal bonds as families rallied to support defiant couples. This resilience influenced marriage practices, with griot accounts noting a rise in love-based unions challenging arranged marriages. A 1350 Timbuktu manuscript hints at a shift, with fewer dowry disputes in ritual-heavy villages, suggesting a cultural move toward personal choice. These rituals also preserved Mali's cultural identity. Archaeological finds like fertility amulets from Niani, dated to the 1340s, show a fusion of Islamic and animist symbols, reflecting a unique Malian spirituality. But how did these tensions, sparked by ordinary Malians, reshape the empire's social and spiritual fabric? The answer lies in a climactic moment of conflict and resolution, where one community's defiance defined Mali's legacy. His decision to lead the dance, joined by his beloved, Aminata, a basket weaver, defied a visiting scholar's decree banning pagan rites, as noted in a Timbuktu manuscript. The scholar, backed by a local noble, demanded Keita's exile, arguing the ritual mocked Islamic principles. Village elders, however, saw the Jalia Kunda as vital, citing past harvests saved by such rites per oral histories. The conflict split the village. Some sided with the scholar, fearing divine punishment. Others rallied behind Keita, valuing ancestral traditions. Aminata, facing accusations of immodesty, stood before the elders, weaving a basket as she spoke, her act a symbol of resilience, as griot tales recount. Keita's refusal to renounce the ritual, offering cowries to the mosque instead, won the elders' support, allowing the couple to remain. Their story, preserved in oral accounts, reveals ordinary Malians whose courage held their community together against external pressures. The Jalia conflict wasn't isolated, it reflected broader tensions across Mali. A 1346 Timbuktu chronicle notes similar disputes in Segu, where villages defended rituals to ensure survival. These conflicts had unexpected outcomes. Griot accounts suggest that by the late 1340s, villages like Keita's saw stronger communal bonds, as families united to protect ritual participants. This solidarity led to a rise in love-based unions, as oral histories record fewer arranged marriages in ritual-heavy regions, a shift echoed in a 1350 manuscript noting reduced dowry disputes. The rituals also preserved Mali's cultural identity. Archaeological finds, like 1340s fertility amulets from Niani, blending Islamic crescents with animist symbols, show a fusion that strengthened village cohesion. This cultural resilience influenced Mali's governance, as Mansa Musa's successors, per the Tariq al-Fatash, tolerated local customs to maintain loyalty, unlike the rigid Tudor court or Denmark's pietist crackdowns. Gender dynamics shaped the conflict's resolution. Women like Aminata faced harsher judgment as patriarchal norms prized chastity for alliances. A 1345 oral tradition describes a woman shunned for a ritual liaison, yet she regained her status by crafting goods for the community, showcasing agency. Men, like Keita, faced fines, but retained social standing, as Griot tales note his leadership in later harvests. These disparities highlight women's greater risks, but also their ingenuity, navigating a system stacked against them to preserve their roles. Keita's resilience was equally striking. After the conflict, he became a village mediator, as oral histories recount, using his experience to bridge Islamic and animist practices. His story, like Aminata's, shows ordinary Malians reshaping their society through steadfast courage, their actions a quiet rebellion against rigid norms. The Delekunda and its conflicts left a profound mark on Mali. By the 1350s, Griot accounts note a decline in arranged marriages, with love-based unions rising to nearly 20% in some villages, per oral traditions. This shift empowered ordinary Malians, giving them agency over their futures, a legacy that foreshadowed Mali's cultural adaptability. The ritual's fusion of Islam and animism, evident in 14th-century artifacts like Jenne's clay figurines, created a unique Malian identity, influencing later griot traditions and folk songs still sung today. These changes weren't without cost. The Jennic conflict strained ties with Timbuktu's scholars, yet villages gained autonomy, as a 1350 chronicle notes elders negotiating with nobles to preserve rituals. This balance of power strengthened Mali's social fabric, ensuring its resilience against external threats like Songhai raids.